Party politics now. Will this weekend's election of John Steenhuisen as the DA leader and the re-election of Helen Zille as chair of its federal council make a difference at the polls next year? And how does the new leader unite the party, and particularly those who supported his opponent? Well, someone who will certainly have a strong view on that is former leader of the party, Tony Leon, who joins me now in Cape Town. Tony Leon, good evening to you. What sort of party, then, has John Steenhuisen inherited? He drew the analogy with an aeroplane, saying it's ready to take to the skies again. Is the party airworthy?
Well, I think certainly it is technologically. I think we saw on the weekend, I was in the middle of the Karoo and I just happened to step into the local DA office and I watched a few delegates there participating in this Zoom conference or this Microsoft Teams conference that they had, and I was amazed in the middle of nowhere, literally, that the whole party was joined together via technology, and I thought, well, that's a good metaphor for its airworthiness, if you like.
He said, and I quote, "For a while we lost sight of who we are and what we offer, clear, principled and decisive leadership." Is he the right person at the right time now?
Well, I think he is, and, you know, regardless of what commentators might say, and I'm obviously got a little bias here because I was the first leader of the DA, it's what the delegates said, and he does start with a very emphatic mandate. 4 out of every 5 delegates voted for him, so he's got 80% of the party behind him, and I guess quite a few of the people who didn't support him will get behind the new leader. And I think that puts him in a strong position. If you contrast that, Jeremy, to the ANC situation of Nasrec 2017, you had Cyril Ramaphosa with only 51% of the support, and a lot of the paralysis since then in the country and in that party is indicative of a 50-50 split. So Steenhuisen doesn't start with that problem. Not to say there aren't other challenges, but that's not one he has to worry about.
Let's get to those new challenges in just a moment, but as you say, you've led the party. He was elected with a resounding mandate, but how does a new leader stamp his imprimatur on the party from the get-go?
Well, my experience of leadership, and I led that party in its predecessor for 13 years, is you've got a lot of political capital at the beginning, and perhaps worth reflecting here, Musi Maimane started with a 90% vote against his opponent when he was elected in 2014. But if you don't spend your capital early on, it tends to dissipate, just like money in the bank. So it doesn't just accrue interest all on its own, contrary to money in the bank. So I guess he's got to make some early decisions. I'm not involved in the management of the party. But first of all, he'll need to appoint a shadow cabinet, as they have in Parliament these days, and that might give a signal. I also think he's got to find a place for his very robust opponents in Bali and Tuli, although she's a provincial politician. I'm sure she's got talent that could be deployed in the party to its wider advantage. And then, you know, once you've dealt with the internal housekeeping, Jeremy, you've got to take your argument to the people. And there isn't much time for that because there are a set of by-elections, I think over 90 actually, delayed by COVID in a few days' time. And while John Steenhuisen isn't responsible for the shape of the party after just a few days in office, he's going to be out there having to explain their victories or their defeats. And then, of course, there's the 2021 local elections. And the party's got to, you know, make a clear and compelling offer. I think it's gone a long way towards that because there was a lot of muddle in the party before the last election, and that probably accounts for the fact that they had their first regression of votes in 20 years in the 2019 election. And with clarity, you know, comes the ability to go and communicate with people directly.
Let's reflect on his challenger, Mbali and Tuli. There's no doubt that the party does have problems of factionalism. How then does he bring his challenger and her supporters into the big tent? What does he need to do?
Well, I'm just looking at the immediate, after the polls closed, statements. I think she is in the tent. She's indicated she's long for the journey. But it's not such a big tent that they've got. I mean, any leader who starts their election or their tenure with 80% of the vote has got a wide margin. I'm not saying you should lord it over your opponents, but the party is behind him, and the party, before they elected him, endorsed a set of policies which are at least distinctive from what the ANC has on offer. So I think the job is not to spend your time fixating on what's going on inside your party, but to take your argument out to the people who need to vote for you to endorse what the party stands for. And if you spend too much time looking inwards, you lose the battle outside of your party, which is where the real battle is.
Well, let's end with that. His success, Tony Leon, is going to be judged at the ballot box. What should he be aiming for in next year's municipal poll?
Well, that's quite a difficult challenge, Jeremy, because the DA actually in the 2016 election, at the height of the depths of Zumism, or Zuma's misrule, did very well. They won Johannesburg, the Mayoralty, Pretoria, Tshwane, and Nelson Mandela Bay. So if you make a comparison between 2016 and next year, there's a lot of territory to defend. On the other hand, given all the upheavals the party's gone through, they'd be able to make an argument that we have consolidated and we're now preparing not just for 2021, but 2024, which is the big battle in which the federal leader of the party has to go toe-to-toe with the president of the country. So I guess 2021 is a dress rehearsal, but you can't afford too many losses on that front. And I think the most important thing is to actually show people that the DA is back in business, it's purposeful, it's properly led, and the country has a clear alternative. If you can do those things and use your successes. I mean, the DA, truth to tell, here in the Western Cape, where I'm speaking from, had in the dreadful plague of coronavirus a lot of success. It was the first to be hit by coronavirus, and yet it responded more effectively, more dramatically, and more proactively than all other 8 provinces. And I think that is a story to take out there. If we had, in the old South Africa, one Cape province. I mean, the difference between what happened in the Western Cape and in the Eastern Cape province, where people were fighting over oxygen, the hospitals were in a state of decay and dilapidation, is very telling. And I think if they take that argument out to the people and say, this is what a DA administration can do, we don't steal the money, we do deliver services, we look after the interests of our residents, they could do well. But, of course, the argument has to be made before the votes can be won.
Tony Leon, former leader of the Democratic Alliance, live in Cape Town. Thank you.